The crisp autumn air of New York City swirled around the ABC Broadcast Center on a brisk October morning in 2025, leaves skittering across the sidewalks like errand scripts as fans bundled in scarves and wool coats lined up for tickets to The View, the daytime powerhouse that had long been a battleground for bold opinions and celebrity confessions. Inside the sun-drenched studio on the Upper West Side, the circular table stood sentinel under a canopy of adjustable lights, the audience of about 250, a eclectic mix of retirees with thermos mugs, young professionals on lunch breaks, and die-hard fans clutching memorabilia settling into their seats with programs rustling like autumn foliage, the house band warming up with a subtle jazz riff that underscored the pre-show buzz. Whoopi Goldberg, the 70-year-old matriarch of moderation in a flowing mustard yellow caftan that evoked harvest fields, kicked off the hour at 11 a.m. sharp, her resonant voice filling the space as she welcomed the crowd with a hearty laugh, bantering effortlessly with her co-hosts about the week's whirlwind from the escalating Hollywood strikes aftermath to a viral meme of a politician's botched dance move that had everyone from TikTok teens to Twitter titans in hysterics. Beside her sat Joy Behar, the 83-year-old provocateur with her silver pixie cut gleaming like polished steel, dressed in a fiery orange pantsuit that matched her unfiltered fire, her Brooklyn-inflected quips slicing through the chatter like a well-honed knife. Sunny Hostin, elegant in a sapphire sheath, dissecting the cultural undercurrents of a new Netflix doc. Sarah Haynes, sunny in a butter-yellow sweater, sharing relatable tales of family chaos. And Alyssa Fair Griffin, composed in a charcoal blazer, offering a measured counterpoint on media ethics. The panel's synergy sparked like dry tinder, Whoopi at the helm with her signature wisdom, before she leaned into the microphone with a mischievous sparkle in her eye. "All right, everybody, we've got a British import today who's no stranger to awkwardness, from silent slapstick to spy shenanigans. Please welcome the one, the only, Rowan Atkinson." The applause thundered like a comedic crescendo, cameras panning smoothly to the entrance where Rowan emerged, a lanky figure of understated elegance at 70, his dark hair streaked with silver and neatly combed, clad in a classic tweed jacket over a crisp white shirt and wool trousers that whispered of English countryside walks, his fascia, those iconic eyebrows arched in perpetual bemusement, crinkling into a shy smile as he waved tentatively to the roaring crowd, shaking hands with the hosts before perching on the edge of the guest chair like a bird ready for flight. He was there to promote his latest venture, a satirical stage play titled The Reluctant Jester, a meta-exploration of comedy's burdens and the perils of public persona, fresh from a sold-out run at the West End where critics hailed it as Atkinson's most introspective work since his Blackadder swan song, blending physical farce with poignant jabs at cancel culture and performative outrage. The audience, many waving faded Mr. Bean plushies, cheered wildly as Joy leaned in with her trademark twinkle. "Rowan, darling, you look like you've just escaped a vicarage tea party, still tripping over invisible furniture, or has been retired to the beanstalk." Laughter cascaded through the room, genuine and generous, as Rowan chuckled softly, his voice a dry, precise baritone laced with Oxford Polish, launching into a droll anecdote about the play's rehearsals where a prop malfunction led to an unintended pratfall that had the cast in stitches for days. The dialogue danced delightfully at first, Sunny inquiring about the play's timely satire on social media mobs. "You're poking the bear of backlash, brave or bonkers?" While Sarah gushed over his influence on her kids' comedy routines, Alyssa probing the balance between humor and harm in today's divided discourse. The studio pulsed with warmth, the table's autumnal centerpiece of pumpkins and gilded leaves bobbing under the gentle AC breeze, screens behind them flickering with clips of Rowan's timeless gags in sepia tones. But Joy, the veteran of verbal volleys with a lifetime of stand-up scars, sensed the soft underbelly of Atkinson's reticent reserve and couldn't resist a gentle prod toward the personal, his well-documented aversion to fame's glare, especially after years of dodging Ben sequels and tabloid traps. She framed it with a conspiratorial wink, The Reluctant Jester, fitting title. "Rowan, you've mastered the mime of misery, but offstage, do you ever regret unleashing Mr. Bean on the world?" That little terror's haunted punchlines for decades as your Frankenstein's monster of mirth. The crowd tittered appreciatively, but Rowan's posture shifted subtly, his fingers interlacing like a barrier as he replied with quiet wit, "Joy, Ben's no monster, just a mirror to our collective clumsiness. Regret, perhaps the residuals, but not the reflection." Chuckles ensued, the segment sauntering toward commercial as the band eased into a whimsical waltz, crew members darting about with fresh coffees. Backstage leaks would later reveal Rowan's publicist had emphasized focus on the play, light on legacy, but the View's alchemy lay in unearthing the unexpected. The guests arrived armored, but armor could always be nicked. As the lights lifted post-break, the atmosphere hummed with latent lightning, the fans riveted, oblivious to the comedic coil tightening. Alyssa circled back to the play's London buzz, Sarah to Atkinson's directing chops, but Joy's gaze lingered, hungry for the hook that would reel in revelation. And then, with the subtlety of a slipped banana peel, she tossed the curveball that transformed the taping from Tea Party to Tempest. The commercial's curtain lifted like a held breath, and Joy Behar leaned across the table with the predatory precision of a comedian cornering a punchline, her orange pantsuit a vivid slash against the neutral set as she fixed Rowan Atkinson with eyes alight with impish intent, the audience's soft applause fading into a canvas of expectant quiet punctuated by the faint tick of a wall clock overhead. Rowan, the reluctant jester, sounds like a hoot of comedy's dark underbelly, the curse of the clown. But let's peel back the grease paint. Mr. Ben was global gold, yet you've shunned the spotlight like it's smallpox. Is it burnout from the buffoonery, or do you secretly loathe the latra or laughs at your expense, making you the eternal egghead? The query landed with a thud wrapped in velvet, chuckles stirring from Joy's acolytes while the broader bleachers leaned in, a mix of mirth and murmur, the co-hosts registering the edgy as Sunny's lips pursing in subtle solidarity, Sarah's hand fluttering to her necklace as Rowan's famed eyebrows knit like storm clouds gathering, his lanky frame straightening in the chair with the creak of aged oak. At 70, the master of malapropism and mime, tempered by decades of dodging typecasting and public prying, inhaled before responding, his tone even but etched with an uncharacteristic frost. "Joy, laughter's a gift, not a grievance. Ben was a vessel for the absurd in us all. Loathe it? No, I've cherished the connection, but the constant caricature, that's the jest's jest." Wearing thin as old tights, it was a graceful graze, eliciting appreciative hums from the front rows and a thoughtful nod from Whoopi, but Joy, invigorated by the interview's ignition and her own history of heartfelt heckling, doubled down with a dramatic eye roll. "Cherished? Come now, Rowan, you've admitted in interviews it's a burden, hiding behind honks and hammers. Blackadder was brilliant banter. Ben, just Ben's on toast for the brain dead. Do you resent us fans for fancying the fool over the fellow, or is it the feminists who frown on your female foils? The damsels in distress you delight in distressing." Snickers swelled sporadically, partisan pockets popping while the center murmured malaise, Rowan's fingers drumming a silent tattoo on his knee as a rare flush tinted his cheeks, his precise diction sharpening to a scalpel's edge. "Resent? That's rich." Joy reducing decades of craft to caricature critiques. Ben liberated laughs without language or lens. It's laced with labels that limit the levity. "Feminists, I've evolved endlessly." The room's rhythm ruptured, a hush descending like theater intermission gone awry, gasps blending with giggles as Alyssa interjected gently, "Rowan, the play tackles tropes brilliantly. A care to tease a scene?" But the actor waved it off with a precise palm, his voice ascending an octave in unmasked umbrage. "Tease? This tirade's teasing truth from torment. If comedy's crime now is clumsiness, perhaps I've overstayed my slapstick sentence." Off-mic murmurs multiply during a band bridge of buoyant brass, Joy whispering to producers while Rowan's aide signaled from the shadows, but the discord deepened, Sarah attempting a salve with a story of her toddler's Ben obsession, drawing dreams of delight yet failing to thaw the frost. Phones proliferated in pockets, poised to pilfer the brewing brouhaha, the floral accents wilting under the weight of words. Then the tipping point, Joy, Mick magnified, bridged back with a Brooklyn bark. "Overstayed? Honey, you're the king of kludses, but kings fall when they flail at feedback. Cancel culture? Or just consequence for clowning on women while the world's wised up? Pass the custard pie, or own the oaf." The zinger zipped like a zeppelin in a zephyr, applause fracturing into factions. Cheers from the back, winces up front as Rowan's face folded into furrowed fury, his chair scraping as he half rose, tweed jacket taut across tense shoulders. On the oath, I've owned every pratfall, joy paid and privacy lost. Your wised-up wit, its willful ignorance, weaponizing whimsy into wounds. This dialogue's devolved to drivel, the atmosphere atomized into anarchy, the audience agor of agitation as Sonny sought to stir. Let's loop to legacy a Blackadder's bite? But Rowan rebuffed, rising fully, his 6'1" silhouette stark against the screens. Legacy? This lunacy's lesson in no laughter shouldn't lacerate. If the view's vista vilifies vulnerability, view me gone, Whippy extended an arm in arbitration. Rowan, reclaim your seat, we're all jesters here. Yet Joy's rejoinder ricocheted. Gone? Gates that away. Been a don't trip. The catalyst combusted. Rowan retrieving his script folder with deliberate dignity, pivoting toward the portal with long, measured strides that echoed like empty theater halls, boots clipping the carpet in cadence with his clipped farewell. Toodaloa, troopy, may your mirrors multiply. The doors divided with a decisive whoosh, sealing shut as the studio suspended in stunned stasis, the crowd's collective gasp gusting like a gale through the gallery. The resonant report of the closing doors detonated a domino cascade in the view's sanctum. The round table transfixed in tableau as the audience's seizures surged into a sonata of scandal. He bolted Joy's jugular, a cascading from the footlights to the flies. Cheers for Rowan's retreat clashing with Joy's partisans in a panel pandemonium that prickled the skin like static on silk. Whoopi Goldberg, the unflappable umpire, rallied with a raised eyebrow and resonant rumble to the remorseless cameras. Phew, folks, that's British stiff upper lip for Rowan Atkinson, storming off like a one-man farce. Props to the Prince of Pratfalls. Applause percolated patchily, Sarah stifling a snicker behind her script while Sonny shaded a sympathetic shake, Alyssa alerting aides in the alcove as stagehands swarmed like scene shifters at intermission, realigning mix and redistributing refreshments amid the receding roar. Joy Behar reclined with a rogue's relish, her orange ensemble unfazed but her expression electric with afterglow. What can I say? He honked first. I'm just the straight man. Yet the equilibrium had evaporated. Whoopi whisking to break with a band blast of yakety sax, the gallery erupting in executive exhalations, a director's declaiming splice the satire clips. Pronto. While moguls upstairs mulled the maelstrom's metrics, social synapses sizzling like synapses in seizure. Rowan storms view vaulted viral in vertiginous velocity, audience snatched segments swarming Snapchat and threads with timestamped tantrums. Parsed by page 6 pathfinders and the Guardian gadflies from coffee clackers to cocktail circuits, Behar bends the Bina Atkinson's affront. One analyst averred, while wit warriors warbled, wit wounds when wielded wildly. A view vindicated. ABC's apparatus ignited with influxes, a infusion of indignation and intrigue from idled influencers to incensed insiders, overlords orbiting opportunity versus opprobrium. Concurrently, in the corridor's cloistered crannies, Rowan regimented his retreat to the green room with glacial grace, manager in tow with mobile mayhem and minders mustering a moat. That harpies harangue we're honing hilarity from the hubbub, he huffed, loosening his tie like a tourniquet released, his wife's wireframe winking wisdom. Steady. Love via London lights await. Exteriorly, his understated Audi awaited amid an ascending aperture of apertures, strobes stuttering like stuttering suitors. Aboard the set, the sequence staggered forward with strained sparkle, Alyssa saying an ancillary anecdote while Sarah served snack sagas, but Joy's jabs jarred with jagged joy, her Java jolted with uncommon celerity. Ensemble echoes evoked the epicenter. Schedulers had sketched sprightly spotlight on stagecraft, hazily harmonized with Atkinson's agents for a facetious foray. But the fundament's fastidious facade on Fame's Follies fouled Joy's funny fuse fatally. As the agenda approached apex, Whoopi winded with a whimsical wave. Gratitude for the giggle gaily a recall. Views veer, but verve, it vivifies. Au revoir. The assemblage ambled out an aura of altercation, agglomerating in the atrium for acrimonious anecdotes beneath the ABC aegis, some screenshotting Shelton skirmishes anew, others telegraphing to transatlantic tribes. Mere blocks beyond, In a hushed Hudson Haven, his spouse sued via satellite amid their son's scholastic shuffly script studies and sibling squabble as her timbre tranquil. You quip the quarrel. Rowan, rarities your repertoire. Rowan's rejoinder resonated with her. Rattled by the riptide, Dear plays the punchline, not this pother. Their enclave, an eddy of ease insulating the interview imbroglio, infused with interlude idle. By gloaming's granular grind, the granules granulated, entertainment tonight etched the egress. The Telegraph telegraphed Atkinson's abrupt adieu. Even Eddie Izzard's envoy emojied an arched brow. Ben's back a bravo. Rowan's relay anger repartee from Reeves. Rumbled a row. Rare nods from Nolan. Nonetheless, in the Audi's austere hush, he ruminated the rumpus, a reel of resentment and relief revolving. Overkill or oasis? The mime master modulated to meditation, the metropolis melting into mist's mediation. As October's ochre umber overlaid the Empire State on October 22, 2025, the Atkinson-Behar altercation amplified into an audio-visual avalanche, overshadowing even the off-Broadway opening's ostentation. Headlines hailing from Us Weekly's Ben's blowout, Rowan's view vaunt. To the stage's studious when whimsy wanes, jesters jaunt from joy. By forenoon in Fulham's fog-kissed flats, Atkinson's apparatus alchemized the affray into a sitza announcements arraying the abdication as audacious affirmation of artistic autonomy. The reluctant jester tickets tumbling upward 310% as aficionados amass with #Rowan rebel rallying cries ravaging Reddit and Ravelry. Joy, jauntily ensconced in her Jamaica estate's jewel box with Joe and journal, jettisoned a jaunty journal entry. Egad, Rowan in next jest. Juggle the jibes. All japes, no jitters. P.S. Tweet, timeless triumph. Eating cited indulgence is like incense in incensory. Memes melding the muddle into Monty Python mimicries. ABC, arbitrating the Altrides arc, aired an abridged airing with artistic accents. But the bandwidth Buccaneers broadcast the barefaced brawl on Vimeo, vaulting 52 million vistas by Vespers, viands for Vanity Fair vivifications and Victoria Wood vignettes. Atkinson's atelier, amid Mayfair's manicured mysteries, maneuvered with mates mapping a Manchester manifest on Mime's manifesto, his marital muse unwavering. You mastered the melee, my Mimea mirth multiplies. The lineage, latched to the lattice, limbed Pater's punch portraits with bias and perplexity, sun scrawl saluting silent storm. Across the Atlantic O'Reilly joy-jawed with juntas at a Javits Java join over Java and jelly. Jabbed the Joker judiciously a chap's cryptic as ciphers. But ballyhoo? Box office bonanza. Bullseye the broadcast breached bastions, bypassing even Bet's Bonmo. Bedlam's bullion in the boob tube bourse. Tittle-tattle droves Toyota had Joy's joust gelled from a jaded Jeeves jest rejection, or Atkinson's aversion to her autobiography cameo. Disclosures dribbled of pre-taping treaties for superficial satire skim, scorned for sensational sizzle. November's nudging into nadir, negotiations nucleated in neutral nabbed knots, nettles neutralize encore. Rowan, regal in the ruckus's remainder, reposted refined, righto rid of the ridicule, or I reprise the ramble. In the agora, he harnessed the hullabaloo into harvest, helming a humor haven for hushed hecklers that harvested heaps, his homily honing hostility to hilarity. Jests jar jig the jubilee. His helpmeet, the harmonious heart, hosted a heritage homage to harlequins, hovering beyond the harangue sends a sidelong scan. The blaze bedimmed with beguiling boomerangs a Joy's jotter jolting Joy's jester jottings. Rowan's review reaping a royal nod, even an entente endorsement for easing egos over English tea. Cyber comments careen from carps to cadenzas, carving the clash into comedic codas, cautioning couch contretemps when coring the core. Essentially, the storm wasn't schism but sparkle, spiraling Rowan from reticent track-hunter to resolute ringmaster, registering that in ridicule's rigorous round, renouncing the rostrum renders the richest reprise. As December's dusk draped 2025, the incident inscribed into Idiot Box idiom a injunction that icons ingest the Inquisition, and forums like The View foreshadow farce flourishes when furies flare. Fade flourish on fracas fathomed to fable, The View's venue vivified,